and told me that over the past few days, not only he, but also his wife and daughter have been receiving a lot of abuse and even death threats because of my leaving the show, and that really is not cool.
A single click of the mouse, a status update calling an old colleague a traitor, and then hastily deleting it, that was the exact moment the perfect mask of one of the largest automotive shows on the planet officially shattered.
Whether I'm upset with him or whether in fact we're going to continue as friends in the future. The answer is, of course. Is he my favourite person right now? Well, probably not.
For 13 years, millions of viewers had believed in the flawless friendship between Edd China and Mike Brewer.
We were brought together 14 years ago specifically to make Wheeler Dealers, and our instant on-screen chemistry was what made Dan Allen and Michael Wood cast us together on their show.
But few people knew that behind the smiles on the screen lay an underground commercial-driven war where sweat and engineering self-respect were placed on the scale to be exchanged for million-dollar profits. When the legendary workshop closed down, what brutal truth had been concealed throughout all these years? Let us strip away all the backstage dark corners right now. In 2003, the automotive television industry in the United Kingdom witnessed the launch of an entirely new format named Wheeler Dealers, designed in the form of a practical business model instead of a purely entertainment program.
We've got a bit of grazing, we've got crazing in the paint, and also got this horrible great split down here. Now that is the main reason why I took this off the car, because I need to repair that.
The program operated based on a closed-loop transaction cycle consisting of 3 core elements: buying cars, repairing them, and reselling them. At the center of this system were 2 characters with completely different professional tendencies. Mike Brewer took on the commercial role, utilizing his keen instincts to search for old, undervalued, or severely troubled cars in the used vehicle market through classified ads, auction houses, and private sellers.
Do you know what? I think you're just asking a little bit too much money for it, Janet. So I'm going to make you an offer, and it is a very fair offer. $10,000.
Meanwhile, Edd China was responsible for the entire technical department, applying logical thinking, scientific diagnostic methods, and mechanical precision to restore the vehicles. The operational structure of the program was established under strict financial constraints starting from 2003. Each broadcast episode applied a fixed budget limit for car purchases and refurbishment costs. The margin of success or failure was directly quantified by the figure representing the difference between the initial purchase price, total parts cost labor hours, and the commercial value when reselling the car. Nearly a decade later, the program underwent a strategic transformation, shifting from an ordinary commercial car flipping format into an international-scale automotive engineering institution. Throughout the broadcast seasons from Season 2 to Season 6, the duration dedicated to the workshop segments was expanded significantly. Instead of acting as brief interruptions illustrating the repair process, these segments transformed into detailed mechanical dissection sessions. Common technical flaws in classic car restoration projects from brands such as Porsche or Jaguar were identified through authentic causal chains instead of being briefly summarized on screen. The financial margins were transparently disclosed through each cost item displayed on the screen. This approach helped eliminate the randomness of conventional reality television, replacing it with an authentic system of economic and technical data. This division of labor created a distinct and mutually complementary contrast in the actual production structure. Brewer operated in an environment requiring high-speed continuous negotiation pressure and a flexible trading market. Conversely, China operated in a space requiring maximum patience, rigorous technical methodology, and extended processing time. The collision between the urgent commercial pace in the outside market and the slow technical carefulness in the workshop shaped the signature rhythm of the program throughout its first decade of operation. Representing the professional mindset during this period, Edd China affirmed the core orientation of the technical content through a statement recorded on Car Dealer magazine. We are forced to let the audience see the entire workflow instead of just displaying the final result. because the true educational value lies in the step-by-step problem-solving method. This standard of absolute transparency propelled the program beyond the boundaries of an ordinary car trading television show to become a reference document for the global engineering community. At the same time, when a global commercial machine began operating with entirely new speed standards, that proud technical foundation itself stood on the verge of being stifled by calculations behind the scenes. Backstage pressure. From the early 2010s, the operation of the Wheeler Dealers program completely transformed its internal production structure. Instead of executing sequentially according to the process of buying cars and then independently repairing them like the first broadcast seasons, the production team was forced to simultaneously deploy multiple overlapping stages. Pre-production activities including searching for cars, planning the workshop, procuring replacement parts, and coordinating filming logistics all had to operate in parallel to meet the dense broadcasting schedule from international distribution units. The filming schedule during this period became extremely tense, turning ordinary working days into continuous extended shooting shifts to gather full visual materials for every single vehicle restoration step. Financial and commercial pressures increased strongly as the program expanded its global coverage through Discovery Channel's distribution network and the North American market-oriented versions branded Velocity. The shift in international audience segments posed an urgent requirement to reshape the on-screen storytelling pace. Production managers demanded that content become more dynamic, faster in transmission speed, and easier to access for the vast majority of mass viewers across various countries with different tastes. This inadvertently created a large gap between the global commercial pace and the manual, slow-paced working method that was the core foundation of the workshop space. The editing changes began to manifest clearly through the episodes broadcast during this time. Technical segments that previously occupied the entirety of detailed durations now had to endure stricter editing limitations. Although system diagnosis steps and complex component disassembly were still fully filmed in the workshop, the duration allocated in the final broadcast cut was reduced significantly. This reduction in duration stemmed from the strategy of optimizing modern commercial television broadcasting flows aimed at maintaining viewer attention against competitive pressures from digital platforms and online short-form video content. Under the pressure of synchronizing multiple episodes within the same production cycle, any delay in technical diagnosis or spare parts supply could create a chain reaction delaying the general schedule and piling extra time burdens onto the technical department at the workshop. This inadequacy in time allocation directly turned the tuning shop into a space undergoing heavy internal pressure. Inside the actual working environment, the difference in the nature of work between the two hosts increasingly highlighted the misalignment in directional mechanisms. Mike Brewer operated in an environment requiring high flexibility, continuously moving between auction locations and conducting commercial negotiations under market time pressure. Conversely, Edd China had to face a technical process requiring absolute precision, where every mechanical detail needed in-depth analysis time. When the time slots dedicated to explaining system structure details in depth were suffocated under editing pressure, the educational value system of the program began to suffer profound damages. Evaluating the operational reality from the perspective of commercial pressure, Mike Brewer once confirmed in official interview information recorded on media outlets that the team's working environment had changed significantly. The workings environment has truly become more tense over time with extended filming schedules and the increasing complexity of production work. This structural shift reflected an undeniable reality that the program had entered a new phase where original technical values had to make room for mass commercial broadcasting standards. And that thorough suffocation pushed one of the two pillars of the program to the wall, placing Edd China before the borderline of deciding between bowing down to compromise or letting everything go. refusing to compromise. The mounting pressure accumulated steadily over many broadcast seasons ultimately pushed the long-standing partnership to its absolute endurance limit in early 2017. When production entered the intensive preparation stage for the 14th broadcast season, the tense negotiations between master mechanic Edd China and the corporate production unit collapsed entirely, falling into a complete and irreversible deadlock. The major broadcaster, alongside the newly appointed production team, abruptly demanded a radical reduction in both the screen duration and the level of detail allocated to the technical segments inside the workshop. This persistent request aimed to streamline the overall episode structure, serving an international broadcast strategy characterized by a faster narrative pace and easier accessibility for the vast majority of loyal global television viewers. For Edd China, these sweeping demands for structural change, coming directly from the upper production management, were viewed not merely as a conventional editing adjustment, but as a direct infringement upon the very essential core value foundation of the program. Throughout 13 years of unwavering dedication, his professional identity had been shaped through absolute transparency in every single mechanical operation, ranging from diagnosing underlying fault causes and systematically disassembling complex systems to the careful process of restoring every small component. Forcing the ruthless compression of these intricate technical processes into brief summary clips meant entirely distorting the true educational nature of classic car restoration work. Facing relentless pressure to concede on editing standards, Edd China made the definitive decision to voluntarily relinquish his beloved position on the show. In March 2017, through an official video message broadcast across his own personal media platforms, he formally confirmed his sudden and permanent departure from the program. In a public statement clearly explaining the complex causes leading to this abrupt decision, Edd China firmly stated, "Unfortunately, entering season 14, compromise was demanded on the workshop segments. A decision was made by the broadcaster to change the program format, reducing the duration of technical coverage and workshop activities, thereby damaging the integrity of the show as well as my position within it." This candid statement instantly created a powerful and unprecedented shockwave within the worldwide fan community devoted to the program. Dedicated viewers perceived this development not merely as an ordinary corporate personnel change, but as the tragic end of the authentic technical soul that had sustained the brand's vibrant vitality for over more than a decade. In a deeply analytical article published in Autocar, veteran automotive television experts assessed that this high-profile departure clearly reflected the deep, irreconcilable conflict between traditional craftsmanship culture and the relentless profit optimization pressure driving modern cable television amid increasingly intense market competition. Edd China's unwavering decision to refuse all professional compromises clearly demonstrated a steadfast stance in protecting his own personal technical prestige. Instead of willingly accepting to appear in a heavily truncated format where rich mechanical restoration processes were reduced to superficial summaries, he chose to completely abandon the lucrative financial benefits tied directly to the most successful show of his entire career. Before the echo of Edd's workshop door closing could even begin to fade, a massive global fury erupted, transforming quiet backstage disputes into a fierce media crisis that instantly ignited a continuous wave of unrelenting and fierce public attacks. The media storm. Edd China's sudden departure in early 2017 not only closed a golden chapter of automotive television, but also triggered an unprecedented media crisis in the reality entertainment industry. On online forums, social media, and the global car-loving community, millions of loyal viewers expressed intense outrage toward the new direction of the program. The initial wave of public dissatisfaction, which was originally directed squarely at the main producer and the corporate distributor, quickly shifted its heavy focus onto co-host Brewer, who chose to stay behind to continue running the popular show. In the eyes of the critical online community during that tumultuous period, Brewer's continuous attachment and cooperation with the newly streamlined format was harshly and strictly interpreted as an outright act of compromise, or perhaps even an act of turning his back on their shared values simply to exchange them for personal financial benefits and preserve an expensive, lucrative broadcast contract. The situation quickly escalated into a digital conflict when a controversial status update unexpectedly appeared on Mike Brewer's official social media account, which used heavy wording implying betrayal regarding Edd China's departure decision. Even though this content was removed shortly after being posted due to community pressure, the dizzying spread rate of cyberspace managed to preserve screenshot and replicate it across international automotive groups. This move immediately added fuel to the fire, turning the initial wave of fan disappointment into strong personal attacks directed straight at the British-born host, pushing the relationship between the team and the audience into a state of extreme tension. The consequences of this media incident quickly surpassed the framework of ordinary debates in cyberspace and transformed into real-life threats outside. Mike Brewer and his family began facing terrible psychological pressure from insults, online harassment, and even violent threats and cyber attacks from radical elements pinning the responsibility. Sharing about this dark period in subsequent media interviews, Brewer admitted that he had gone through the worst days of his career when bearing groundless fury from a segment of the public who dumped the entire responsibility for the duo's dissolution onto a single individual standing at the front line. Facing heavy public pressure directly threatening his reputation, spirit, and long-standing career, Mike Brewer was forced to conduct a wide-scale media campaign to clarify his stance and appease the public. He continuously appeared on specialized media outlets to affirm that Edd China's decision stemmed entirely from strategic orientation disagreements with the broadcaster, rather than originating from any personal conflicts or discord between the two friends. In a detailed interview published in The Telegraph, Brewer opened up about the terrible pressure of bearing the consequences from a global production machine. "That was the worst time for me and my family, receiving terrible threats, just because I wanted to maintain a show that creates jobs for dozens of people, while in reality, we were all just personnel bound by the systemic decisions of the broadcaster." Regardless of all explanation and reassurance efforts from Brewer car discussion forums remained deeply polarized into two distinct opposing factions. One side resolutely boycotted the new version of the program to show absolute support for Edd China, while the other side chose to keep watching to support Brewer's efforts to maintain the brand. This incident became a classic and costly lesson in the history of reality television production about the price to be paid when commercial interest shifts collide directly with the attachment affection of loyal viewers. When the dust of the media war settled down, a brand new chapter officially opened, reshaping the entire legacy of an automotive television monument. Legacy and change. After the major upheaval in 2017, the Wheeler Dealers program was forced to step into a completely new chapter under the pressure of maintaining the appeal of a global brand. To fill the huge vacuum left behind by Edd China, the producer officially recruited Ant Anstead, a renowned British master mechanic and car builder, to assume the technical expert position in the workshop, starting from the 14th season broadcast in 2018. Simultaneously, to serve the North American market expansion strategy, all filming activities and workshop setups were relocated from the United Kingdom to a larger-scale facility in Southern California, United States. The change in location and personnel immediately brought distinct fluctuations in content structure and on-screen presentation style. Even though Ant Anstead possessed solid technical skills, along with a dynamic working demeanor, the rhythm of the workshop segments no longer retained the meticulous detail like the early period. The duration dedicated to dissecting the operating principles of complex systems was significantly narrowed down, making room for frames focusing on completion, progress, and overall results. This editing decision clearly reflected a further concession to fast-paced commercial broadcasting standards aimed at optimizing mass viewership on international cable television platforms. Meanwhile, in a completely independent direction, Edd China chose to completely walk away from the commercial television machine to build new projects on his own that matched his original professional philosophy. He began developing personal digital content platforms and launched an online series named Edd China's Garage Revival. This project focused on rescuing cars left neglected at independent garages around the world, allowing Edd to freely extend the duration for technical instruction segments without encountering any editing constraints from the broadcaster. The warm reception from the online community proved that the demand for absorbing authentic mechanical knowledge has always existed strongly and has not declined at all. Looking back at the entire process of brand fluctuations over the years, specialized media circles provided objective evaluations regarding the price of structural transformation. A detailed analysis article published in Auto Express concluded that Edd China's departure was not merely a farewell between two hosts, but a milestone reshaping the limits of automotive reality television. The article's author emphasized that even though the program still maintained a stable audience under replacement hands, it permanently lost the identity of a technical classroom to completely transform into a standard commercial entertainment show. That shocking breakup year ultimately closed with an implicit professional respect between the two main characters, as both Mike Brewer and Edd China chose to shut down public disputes and focus on their own separate paths. The story behind the rift between Edd China and Mike Brewer was not only a backstage hidden corner of a hit television show, but also a profound lesson about the inevitable conflict between global commercial pressure and professional self-respect. When profit numbers and broadcast schedules overshadowed technical transparency, a monument was forced to choose to leave to protect its own core values. Even though wheeler-dealers continued to roll forward with new directions, the legacy of an authentic, meticulous, and dedicated mechanical space built by Edd China would forever remain an indelible mark in the hearts of car lovers worldwide. If you find this information brings you a fresh and valuable perspective, do not hesitate to leave a like, share this video with those who share the same passion, and click subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next engaging footage. Thank you for your attention and watching. Goodbye, and see you again in future videos.